What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Game Week 3 deadline stream. Let me just quickly check if all the systems are working, if my sound is fine. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. I don't want to repeat those mistakes of last year where I kept on talking and nothing was kind of happening. But yeah, anyways, welcome to all of you. Welcome to the deadline stream. Another deadline, another game week. A lot to discuss. A lot is happening. There's a lot of chaos, and I think super excited to be here and just talk to you. I hope you are ready with your questions, with your transfers. I wanted to wait for those transfers to kind of get in some information in terms of any news, any leaks, etc. Because apparently FPL is a game of leaks now, and we have to kind of depend on them to do well in the game. But I maybe would have, lost my patience a little bit there, and I did those couple of moves. Used my 2 free transfers, got in Foden this week, and got in Henry, as told by somebody that I'm copying teams now. But yeah, I think these were moves that I was pretty set and pretty certain about. There were some elements of doubt in terms of maybe Foden not being the most ideal pick. Maybe he's a short-term pick. Maybe Henry's probably not going to keep clean sheets. I mean, to be very honest, this is a week where I can, or maybe you even can make a case for any player in terms of whether you want to go or whether you can go for him or not. You can make a case for Man City defenders. On the split side, you can tell me that probably they're not going to start every game. Probably there's going to be a lot of rotation, and I think either way, me or you are not going to be wrong, right? So that's kind of the game week that we have in front of us. To be very honest, I don't think so any transfer is necessary at this week. I mean, I know a lot of people have 2 free transfers or had 2 free transfers like me, and they want to kind of make use of those 2 free transfers, at least one of those transfers, so that it kind of go. I mean, they don't basically burn a transfer or waste a transfer. So a lot of people are making just one move this week and then kind of reassessing next week. That's also a logical play. But to be honest, at least the major template picks that all of us have this week, I think all of them are pretty decent. Even the likes of Gabriel, Pedro, there's a lot of confusion on whether they're going to start, whether they're going to get benched, whether other options like, let's say, like a Jackson. I mean, Chelsea haven't really done anything so far yet, right? We're all kind of making an educated guess that they have some decent fixtures and probably they will start playing like the Chelsea that we know that they are. Whether it's going to happen or not, I'm not very sure. I don't know. I'm pretty sure neither do you, but I think that's where we are at the moment, and I think it's going to be very exciting. So yeah, feel free to add any questions, anything that you want to add in the chat. If you have any leaks, especially from trusted sources, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's probably going to be a lot of chaos on Twitter, especially at the last moments and the last minutes. But let's avoid that. Let's get credible information to people who are on the stream and in general as well. But yeah, feel free to add anything that you want in the comments as well. If you're new around here, please feel, I mean, there's no pressure, but you can subscribe to the channel. You can also like the stream. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm and, kind of gets us going every week. We'll start off with the comments. So it's, yeah, looks like someone is trying to copy my team. And yeah, Henry and Foden, are they popular moves? I think Foden is probably a popular move. You got an Akanji and sold Gabriel. I mean, getting in, somebody like Akanji is a pretty sorted move in itself. I know a lot of people, and myself included, we've talked about Ruben Diaz being the most nailed option, but let's face it, not a lot of people have that much money. Maybe who have that much money are not pretty convinced with whether he's going to be let's say, a nailed option. I mean, it's very difficult to predict. We're all kind of making educated guesses here. We can't predict what's going to happen with the Man City lineups, especially when the Champions League starts after the international break. So I think Akanji, we're not spending a lot of money. There is a certainty in terms of him starting games. And I think that's the logic behind it. But I think, yeah, I mean, it's a fine move. I also was kind of contemplating between Akanji and Henry, but I think I've been burnt. I mean, there was maybe a slight bias there because I've been a little bit burnt in terms of going with a Man City defender last season. I mean, if you see their points last season, none of them did really well last season, right? Of course, you can attribute that to maybe City getting less clean sheets. You can also attribute that to maybe some, a lot of these defenders not getting regular minutes, injuries, etc. I mean, there can be multiple reasons for it, but I just feel Henry in an attacking position, playing for a decent Brentford team, I think he could do really well. I'm still very watchful of the fact that he may not get enough clean sheets or maybe as many clean sheets as, let's say, Man City in the next 6 games. But I think overall Henry should be a good option. I mean, he's literally playing as a winger, and I think that spells good from an FPL point of view. So I think that was my reasoning there. You can check my team though. I'm second in a league. I'm a great start. If you're second in the league, I think your rank is probably going to be very good and very high at this moment. Though, to be honest, ranks right now don't really matter. It's about kind of settling into a good rhythm, seeing some patterns of play emerging, seeing some teams playing, a kind of football that you would probably want from an FPL point of view, and then making your transfers, making your decisions based on that. So I think that's what the early kind of time is for. I mean, even if you have a bad start or a slow start, you can easily catch up. There's nothing wrong with it. Pedro, Henry, one of them for either Gabriel out or Baldock in. I think, to be honest, I would probably get in Henry. I mean, and play Henry if that's the thing that you're asking. So basically, Henry in for Gabriel. I think that should be fine. Pedro is also a doubt. Yes, there are people talking about Enciso getting injured and maybe now Pedro getting his minutes, because I think Enciso was in direct competition for or with Pedro in terms of minutes. So I think playing in Henry should be absolutely fine. Can you put different captain? I mean, of course you can put a different captain. Haaland is not necessarily the best captaincy option every week. Is it that he's Haaland? Yes, I mean, you could say that he's probably not had the same start to the season that he had last season or last time around. But I think overall, Haaland is still, considering that his ownership is going to be high. If you don't captain him, there are going to be huge losses. I mean, that's always going to be there. But I think in terms of going with a different option this week, I mean, you can go for a Saka. Now, a lot of people are debating whether he's on penalties or not. We don't know that because even Arteta doesn't know that. I mean, Saka could take the next penalty. We still are not sure about that. So I think Saka still, Fulham are a very average side in terms of, keeping clean sheets. They do concede a lot of chances. They do concede goals as well. And I think they're defensively not that strong at all. Arsenal are a good attack. And I think Saka is a major part of it. So I think Saka is a good option. You can also go for somebody like a Foden, for example. It's a risky option, but I think it's still a good pick out there. I think, yeah, I mean, these are probably my top three options, let's say, including Haaland if I have to go. I think these are two really good options as differential captaincy option. Really want to replace Rashford to Foden? I think that's a very common transfer or a common dilemma this week. What to do when you have Rashford? Now, we've seen United struggle in those two games. We've seen Rashford also struggle playing in that central sort of a role, playing as number 9. I did look at some stats and did look at some data for last season as well. For a lot of time of last season as well, he was playing in that central role, but he was doing decently well. Of course, you can attribute it to maybe the form that he was in and him being the major man or the main man for United. Now it's just 2 weeks, so it's very difficult to draw parallels or draw any kind of comparisons or conclusions, to be very honest right now, especially with Haaland also coming in. There were conversations that he's probably going to start this week. I don't think so that's going to happen. So I still think Rashford is probably going to play through the center. And yes, you can say that he's not as effective as he's probably playing on the left side on the wide inverted forward that he plays. So I think because of that, the potential may not be that high. Having said that, it's still Nottingham Forest. They're still a very average side. They do concede a lot of chances. And essentially, you are taking out a good option. I mean, let's if we don't see what's happened to United in the first 2 games, in isolation, Rashford has a really good fixture this week. He's a good option for United as well. And you're subbing out a good player for a maybe slightly better player who has a slightly better matchup as well. But it's not that Rashford is the worst pick out there and you have to transfer him out. See, with Foden, with Rashford, you're not going to get a situation where he's not going to start, right? Because unless, let's say, he's injured or he's not fit, etc., he's going to start every game for Man United. That may or may not be the case with the Foden. There could be some rotation, especially with Champions League coming in, especially with the international break, post the international break as well. There could be some rotation for Foden. I mean, we may see his role change as well. This is a season where his role probably going to change a lot, considering that KDB is probably not going to be fit for majority of the time. And Pep, we know Pep, he likes to tinker with the systems and likes to tinker with the way he's playing every game based on the opposition that he's facing, right? So there are some elements of doubts with Foden as well. It's not that he's suddenly a great pick and you have to go with him. I think if you want to play safe, if you don't want to take a lot of risk, I think keeping Rashford is absolutely fine. But in case if you want to go aggressive, I think Foden is a really, really good option to go for. I think that's where I am in terms of the Foden pick. And I think that's where I kind of wanted to go because I wanted to play or start a little bit aggressive. And I think Foden gives me that opportunity to, go a little bit more attacking than maybe just keeping Rashford in my team. Going full on differential captain with Buemo, I think the fixture is a slightly tricky option. I mean, it's a slightly tricky fixture for Brentford. Yes, Mbuemo is on penalties. He's probably going to get more penalties this season. He's also going to be one of the main options in attack alongside Visa. Now, I mean, you can say that there's some sort of attacking returns and some sort of attacking statistics are probably going to be shared between them, but that's absolutely fine. I think they are the two main, players for the Brentford attack. But Crystal Palace is still a good team. I mean, I still feel they have improved leaps and bounds. They are a good attack, and they are a slightly better defense that probably they were last season, right? So, I mean, it's a good option, but I still feel like if you have something like a Foden, for example, Saka, for example, I think they are slightly more better options, to be honest. I'm thinking Haaland will score the goal. I mean, all of us are expecting Haaland to score goals and more goals so that he doesn't become a problem. I mean, imagine a world where Haaland either gets injured or he's not scoring. I think it'll just make the whole FPL as a game absolutely crazy. And I think that's not going to happen because we will ultimately see him scoring goals. But I think, yeah, I mean, against Sheffield United, it's an away game for City, but I still expect them to dominate possession, expect them to score goals, and I think Haaland has to be involved. I mean, I'm expecting the likes of Foden, Alvarez, Haaland to all start again, and I think all of them will be involved because I think it could be a good high-scoring game for Man City here. Hello, hello, hello in Web of Voice. I mean, yeah, there should be some intro though. I mean, we should definitely have some sort of an intro to our streams and to our videos. I think that could be a very interesting way to start the FPL stuff or the general football stuff. Um, Replacement for Shaw, I have Estupinian, Chilwell, Torres, and I'm done with my two free transfers. Any City Spurs defenders? I mean, Shaw was an unfortunate sort of an incident or kind of a news that we got. Now he's expected to be out for a decent amount of time, and I think it doesn't make any sense to hold him at all. So you have to sell him because the fact that you've already made your moves, Estupinian, Chilwell, and Torres. I mean, it's not the most. I mean, Estupinian Chilwell is absolutely fine this week. Torres is not the worst player out there. So you don't have to make a move, to be honest. But in case if you still want to, and maybe you're playing a back four, the only reason you would want to make a transfer here is because you're playing a back four. Otherwise, you won't make a move. But in case if you want an option, I think when looking at City, I think if money is not a problem, I think Ruben Dias is probably the best option to go for. In case if you don't want to spend that much money, then you have the set of three defenders in Walker, Guardiola, and Akanji. And I personally think that Akanji is probably going to get a good amount of minutes. A lot of people are saying it could be Guardiola, but it's very difficult to predict what's going to happen right now. So I think apart from maybe Ruben Dias, it's not going to be, or at least to me right now, it's not very, very different. So if you're probably looking at a 5-ish million option from Man City, I mean, you can go for Akanji. In a scenario where you don't want to go for, a City option, you can look at the likes of Henry. You can also look at the likes of Udoge or Udogi. I mean, whatever way you pronounce his name. You can look at him. He's a very attacking option. You can argue that maybe Spurs are not going to keep a lot of clean sheets, but from an attacking perspective, I mean, we have kind of understood and changed our way of thinking in terms of defense or defenders in general. We are looking at how attacking they are. We are looking at the XGI numbers in terms of how much they are creating, what kind of goal threat do they have, and what apart from clean sheets can they give us, right? And I think from that perspective, I think Udogi or Udogi is a good option to go for. Clean sheets, I'm still a bit skeptical, but I think at that sort of price point, you're getting a good attacking option who could do really well for Spurs. Spurs have decent fixtures. I mean, they aren't the league's best fixtures in the next six, but I think they should at least be good from an attacking sense, and that's what we've seen. I mean, we've seen that they will be leaky, we've seen that they will concede goals, but they will score a lot more this season. And I have a feeling that Udogi will probably do really well this time around. Sure, replacements. I think look at the likes of Chilwell, Estupinian. If you have them sorted, then you can probably look at somebody like a Henry. If you don't want to go with a Brentford player, you can look at the Man City defense. I think the order of preference would be would be Chilwell, sorry, then Estupinian. Then you probably look at the Man City defense. In terms of Man City defense, you have Ruben Diaz as the most nailed option. You have Akanji and Guardiola. Probably, at least to me, they're a joint second at the moment, and then probably it's going to be Walker. Then it basically is Henry. I'm still not very heavy in terms or very, I'm not favoring the Arsenal defense right now too much because of the fact that if I wanted to go for Arsenal defender, of course, with the leaks, etc., that came in game week one, that was probably the best time to go for somebody like a Saliba, for example. Or if, you couldn't get that information maybe in game week two. Right now, it just feels that we've kind of missed the bus with the Arsenal defense because if we look at Arsenal's fixtures, from a defensive point of view, especially in the next six, right? They have Fulham, which is a clean sheet. I mean, you can back a clean sheet in game week three. United, I'm expecting United maybe to lose this one, but probably to score in this game. Everton, maybe another clean sheet. Tottenham are a good attack. I think they will score. Bournemouth, you can probably expect them to keep a clean sheet. Then Man City and Chelsea. So if you look at the next 6 or 7 fixtures, I think there are better options. You can look at maybe a Man City option, for example. I think that could be really, really good as well. So I think Arsenal is a team where I'm not very heavy in terms of a defender. Of course, if you have a Saliba, it's great. But as a replacement for Shaw, Stones, James, etc., I think there are better picks out there. I have to bench one out of these 8. So it's Saka, Rashford, Bruno, Mbuemo, sorry. Mitoma, Haaland, Watkins, Jackson. I have no idea about who to bench. Also start Udogie or Pinnock. It's a tricky call. I mean, you would expect or you would want to play your 3 forwards because all 3 are good options and have good fixtures. And it's not that you have a double up on the Arsenal attack. Maybe one of Rashford or Bruno. It's still not ideal. And I mean, from a fixture point of view, I think I would have probably benched Mbuemo, but then again, he's in good form. I mean, he's getting penalties. How much of those points can keep coming every week? That's again a debate. From a fixture point of view, I think it's probably Mbuemo, but I mean, because you have United covered, though United does have a decent fixture, maybe you can bench. I mean, it's not ideal at all. Benching Rashford and Bruno just feels criminal and just feels wrong. But if I have to logically think of it, I think Mbuemo is probably the one that I'm going to bench. It's strange because so many people are buying him. So many people are going to play him this week. And if he does score or does do well, you'll be in a fix. But I think just accept the fact that this is probably one week where you will have one player on the bench who does really well and probably outscores a few players in your playing 11. And just, I think the logical call is probably benching Mbuemo. But if you want to, considering the fact that you already have 2 United options, there are 2 ways to look at it. I mean, you can probably double down on the advantage and play both and bench Mbuemo. Or else you can just kind of take away that United advantage that you'll probably have. Go a little bit defensive and then maybe bench one of Rashford or Bruno. It's your call. But I think if I had to bench one right now, I'll probably bench Rashford. Although, in terms of starting Udogie or Pinnock, I think I'll definitely start Udogie. I think he's a much more attacking option. Also, there's a chance that he gets a clean sheet in this one. Start Udogie or Mbuemo. I think I am generally a kind of a manager who prefers to start the attacker, play a bit aggressive, and I think that's what I do here as well. I think I'll definitely. I mean, if it's a option between Udogie or Mbuemo, I think I'll start the latter, which is Mbuemo here. Pedro to Jackson, still have Gabriel in my team and 2 free transfers. I mean, Pedro to Jackson is a good option. I mean, there's still a chance that he plays this week. But if you see, let's be very honest. I mean, this is probably a question every week. Yes, now we know that Enciso is probably going to be out for a very long time. So the chances of Pedro starting every week is slightly higher than maybe usual or than normal. But we know De Zerbi is a manager who likes to tinker a lot. He again is somewhat like Pep in terms of trying different systems, trying to outsmart and outwit the opposition, and I think that can happen for majority weeks. Now we still have to see whether he and Ferguson can play together, whether it's going to be one of them starting every week and the other one coming from the bench. That could absolutely happen, but I still feel if you want to avoid the risk, just go for Jackson. I think at least for now, Jackson looks like an option who's going to start games for Chelsea, unless Chelsea sign a new striker or somebody else comes into picture and that person or that player is probably starting every game. Then it's a different thing. But I think right now Jackson's a good option. He's shown some some teeth for sure. I mean, he's had some decent performances, a couple of good performances, in fact. Probably a bit unlucky not to get more returns. And I think he could be. Yes, he's raw, and he's new to the Premier League and all that stuff. But I think there is. I mean, there are FPL halls in there, and I think if you want to risk it, I mean, it is still a risk because Jackson's potential is also unknown. But you're backing a player from a premium team. I mean, I still consider Chelsea as a premium team. You're backing a good striker. You're backing somebody who's probably going to get more minutes than Pedro, at least in the next 5 or 6 fixtures. And you're backing somebody who has decent fixtures, till game week 8 or 9. So I think Pedro Jackson's still a decent option. Gabriel is someone who's very interesting because Gabriel, it looks like that Gabriel is probably going to start this week. Now, whether that continues after Tomiyasu returns to the Arsenal lineup is somewhat of an unknown right now. I still feel it's. I mean, if there's something going on, in behind closed doors and all that stuff, I don't know whether it's a transfer situation, whether it's something else that has happened with Gabriel. I mean, I don't think so. We know anything like that. But if it's very tactical or if it's it's a strategic call, then we probably cannot be that confident that Gabriel's probably going to start more minutes. Yes, the chances of him starting are higher, especially when Arteta is looking, for a left center ball playing centre back, because that is what Gabriel is, and I think he's probably going to be first choice there. But there's still an element of risk because Tomiyasu can also play in that position. So I think personally, I want to avoid that risk. I want to avoid that chance. Anyways, they have United next, and the fixtures get trickier as well. So I think personally for me, I'm okay shifting Gabriel. It's not a move that you have to do this week because there's a slight chance that he starts this week. So maybe just see it for one more week. But if he starts this week, then you'll be tempted to hold him for next week as well, which is also not ideal because next week he can get benched. So that's the dilemma there. But I think if I have a free transfer, if I have some sort of planning ready in terms of what am I going to do for game week 4 as a transfer, and it's probably not costing me hits, then I think I'll make the Gabriel move this week. Should I replace Gabriel with Romero or Pedro Porro? Their fixtures seem great. I mean, if I'm going with a Spurs option, I think Udogie is the one I'll go for. I think that's probably the more attacking option. In terms of minutes, maybe you can say that Romero is more nailed. Pedro Porro is also probably going to get majority minutes. And Udogie is somebody that, can lose his spot maybe in the future. But right now it looks like that he started the season well. He looks the best attacking defender out there for Spurs. And I think if I'm going with one, if I'm risking anyways, see, Spurs defenders always feel like a risk, right? Because Spurs are not known for keeping a lot of clean sheets. They're not known for having these, options like a Trent, like a Shaw, like something like a Cancelo when he was doing really well for Man City. But I mean, if you are taking a risk, might as well do it with an attacking defender, and that is Udogie here. My transfers were two. I had two free transfers, and I think 2.5 or 2.6 million in the bank. So I did Rashford to Foden, slightly risky move but aggressive, and the other option was Gabriel to Henry. Now both these moves, of course, I've used my two free transfers. So game week 4, I'll only have one transfer. And have some ideas around what I want to do for my game week 4 transfers right now. Of course, we've not had a single game week fixture played as yet, game week 3 fixture played as yet, and a lot could happen. There could be a lot of injuries, there could be a lot of benchings, some sort of odd moments which might force our hand to maybe wild card, maybe take hits. God knows what's going to happen there. But that's what my transfers are right now. Expecting it to be a strong week, considering that I have some decent players in and I have 4.2 million in the bank. It seems odd that you could have so much money in the bank right now at this point of the season. Yes, I think not having Salah does give you that flexibility, and with so much money, of course, you can do so much that sometimes it kind of gets a bit overwhelming. That because of the fact that you have so many options to look at, you may end up choosing the wrong one, and then you might have to correct that mistake, which kind of leads you to make additional moves as well. So that's that. But I think with 4.2, it just gives us somewhat of a flexible approach to follow. Should I go for Chilwell or a City defender? I mean, I would prefer a Chilwell transfer over a City defender. Chilwell has looked very attacking. The fixtures are really good. He's probably going to start every game, and he is occupying a very good attacking position. I mean, in the matches that I've seen so far, he's literally playing. I mean, there are moments where he is literally playing as a winger, as a forward as well, right? As an inside forward or as a left forward. And I think, at least from an FPL point of view, that is good because that will help him in bonus points, that will help him to get attacking returns, to also have a decent amount of goal threat. Yes, he can also give us assists, he can also cross the ball, so there are multiple outlets to Chilwell. He probably would also be on certain set pieces, etc., but overall I think Chilwell is definitely the better option. The biggest factor of going with Chilwell, I mean, fixtures, you can argue who has the better fixtures among Man City and Chelsea and who's probably the better team right now, but I think Chilwell looks to me that he's the nailed option. And with Man City defenders, you can make a case for every defender being nailed or probably being benched, depending on the system Pep is gonna employ. But it's ultimately known by Pep only what he's gonna do, and he could surprise us with maybe an odd Diaz benching, maybe somebody like, let's say, Akanji getting benched, maybe him playing Rico Lewis, for example. So there are unknown elements there, and you can probably avoid all those things and probably just go with Chilwell to start off. Watkins to Jackson. It's not a necessary move to make, and I'll be very, very clear. Watkins is a good fixture. A lot of people are saying that he did really well in Europe, so suddenly he has a great, set of form with him, and he's probably going to start scoring. Somebody's saying that he's not going to be on penalties, or even if he's on penalties, he's not a good penalty taker and all that stuff. But overall, I still feel Watkins is one of the most important players in that Aston Villa team. We can't take away the fact, yes, there was the Newcastle result, but it was probably a defensive error by Emery, and that probably could have been avoided. But from an attacking point of view, I think Aston Villa is still a very, very strong side. It's a very good team, and I think that's not going to change. Watkins' impact in the Villa side is still going to be the same, probably even higher. We don't know that as yet. It's just been a couple of fixtures. But I think overall, Watkins has a good game this week. It's not a necessary transfer out. You can say, I mean, you can make a case that, maybe he has Liverpool in game week 4, then he has Chelsea in game week 6, then Brighton game week 7. So you're probably avoiding these game week 4, game week 6, game week 7 fixtures by going in for Jackson early. If that's the logic, absolutely fine. But this week, both have good fixtures. Jackson has a good fixture. I mean, Luton were really, really poor and very average in the fixture that they played. They did concede a lot of XG. They did concede a lot of chances. So that is why people are kind of going very heavy on Jackson. It's not that Jackson suddenly scored hat tricks and we are running after him like, or maybe he started the season like what Haaland did last season, right? So nothing of that sort is there. It's just an educated guess that all of us are kind of trying to make and navigate. But it's not a necessary move to make. If you want to jump on Jackson early, you can go for them. But I mean, you don't necessarily have to make the move. Sell Gabriel, keep Bruno, alternatives. As I said earlier, I think Gabriel is somebody who's going to start this week. Not sure about game week 4 and beyond. If you want to avoid the headache, look for a different option. Chilwell is the best option out there. Then probably it's going to be... I mean, Estupinian is debatable because the fixtures turn for Brighton. Though Brighton is still a very good attack, but Estupinian may not end up keeping a lot of clean sheets. And that kind of, takes away a little bit of potential from him because... even against the trickier sides or the tougher sides, he may not have the same attacking threat that he's probably having against the slightly weaker teams, right? We have to keep that in account. So maybe you look at Chilwell, maybe you look at the Man City defenders, maybe you look at Henry if you're looking to save money. I think that's where you'll go. But I will personally, if I have 2 free transfers, right? I mean, leaving the fact that I want to go aggressive or I want to go safe, etc., whatever, I will try to sort out the Gabriel situation because I really don't think it's all of a sudden Gabriel becomes the most nailed option in the Arsenal team, and Arsenal probably even have the best fixtures out there, right? You have the likes of Chelsea, you have the likes of Man City, you have Brentford having decent fixtures, Tottenham having okay fixtures. So there are options, and I think you can fix this situation by changing him to a different pick. Keep Bruno. I will probably keep him this week, and I'll definitely keep him over Rashford. I know that there's a question in the community where people are debating, and a lot of managers do have Rashford and Bruno together, and which option to kind of get rid of. I think if I want to get rid of one option right now, again, they both have a good set of, they both have a good game this week. And I mean, we know, we've seen from an FPL point of view also, fixtures do breed form, right? So maybe against a slightly easier opposition, or maybe when they have a good set of fixtures or good set of games under them, they start performing to the level that we know that they are capable of. Now, we do not know whether that's going to happen against Nottingham Forest, but at least on paper, the fixture is really good. Bruno has been unlucky. I mean, let's face it, he's been a bit unlucky in terms of not getting any return so far. His numbers are decent. We know that he's the creator in that United team. He's going to create a lot of chances. There's good assist potential. There's the potential for him to take penalties, and then he can also score an odd goal. So there are outlets to Bruno. right now Rashford is not clicking. Whether that's going to change or not, I'm not sure. But if I'm selling one right now, I'll probably sell Rashford and I'll keep Bruno. So answering your question, I think if you have other fires to put out, if you let's say have a Gabriel situation to put out, I'll probably tackle that ahead of somebody like a Bruno, unless you really want to go aggressive with your attacking options. Start Guardiola or Estupinian. If I have to start one, I'll still start Estupinian. I think there is more attacking potential. Yes, Guardiola will probably give you that clean sheet, that safe banker clean sheet. But I still feel, again, the way I play is to basically go a bit aggressive when the opportunity arises. And I think this is 1 week again where I know it's West Ham. So West Ham is probably going to be a slightly trickier opposition. But I think Brighton are still an elite attack. And Estupinian has started the season really, really well. I mean, he's like Chilwell, like Henry. He's also, that attacking defender who's occupying great positions higher up the pitch, and that's brilliant from an FPL point of view, right? Because it really helps us when Estupinian gets a clean sheet. There's a huge chance that he will end up in bonus points, and then he's also scoring goals. He's also assisting. I mean, he's doing what we need him to do from an attacking sense, and I think you would not want to bench him and see all those points on your bench. So I think I'll play him over a Guardiola. I have two free transfers and 0.5 in the bank. Should you sell Salah to bring in Madison, Martinelli, Foden, March, and to bring in Jackson or Alvarez, Isak for Pedro? Then I'll have 4 million in the bank. Let me just break down that question. So I have two free transfers and 0.5 million in the bank. They're saying, should you sell Salah to bring in Madison, Martinelli, Foden, March? I mean, I'm assuming one of them, and then to bring in Jackson Alvarez. I mean, selling Salah does give you an option to, distribute your funds, maybe pump in a little bit more money in your attack, and then you utilize that additional money in maybe upgrading one of your midfield options. In your case, it'll be downgrading Salah to a different option. I won't do Salah to, I'm not sure whether you have Madison or not, but if the question is Salah to Madison, I won't do it this week. There's a slight chance that he may miss out. I mean, it's not very clear still whether he's absolutely out for Game Week 3 or not. I mean, the press conference also was a bit cryptic in terms of what we take out of it. There's a high chance that he maybe, if he's fit, he plays, let's say, about 15-20 minutes. If Spurs are probably winning, he maybe doesn't even do that. But let's say he plays about 15-20 minutes, and then for Game Week 4, he's absolutely fine. So that's an option, but I still won't risk it because you're kind of not utilizing your one full game week worth of points, and you can always get back Madison for the different option. So downgrade Salah to a different pick, and then you can, move towards a Jackson. I feel that the better combinations, let's say something like a Foden plus a Jackson rather than, going with either Foden plus Alvarez, because that seems a tad bit too risky, or even, going with, let's say, something like a March or a different option plus Alvarez. I still feel when we compare Foden and Alvarez both, I think Foden's a slightly better option. He's had better underlying stats. He's also occupying a lot of different roles and different positions. I mean, Alvarez is kind of playing in that link-up role between a Foden and a Haaland, and that could again make him the assister a lot of the times rather than the goal scorer, because you would still expect Haaland to be at the end of most of the chances for Man City. Yes, if Man City do end up scoring 4, 5, 6 goals, then you would probably expect Alvarez to also, nick in a couple of goals there. But it just feels right now he's more of an assister than a goal scorer. And that may continue, may not continue. We do not know that. Foden is probably playing that sort of KDB role, or some sort of a creative role where Pep is expecting him to be involved in a lot of transitions and also provide the odd assist, also score, take the opportunity, or whenever he gets the opportunity, take that shot, because he has goals in him, right? So I think overall Foden looks like a better prospect. The advantage with Foden as well is that, you can probably easily move him to a different option. You can go for a Madison. You can, go for maybe let's say a Chelsea option, for example. You can maybe, let's say, look at Rashford or Bruno if you sell them, or if you don't have them and if you want them later on. Maybe you can double up with an Odegaard as well if we suddenly feel that Odegaard is an option. So there are a lot of multiple directions to look at if the Foden pick doesn't work out. With Alvarez, unless you have a certain amount of money in your bank, I don't think so you can really maneuver a lot. Now, I don't know if you have money in the bank or not, or how much money. Right now you have 0.5, right? So Once you again downgrade Salah, get in a different option, that money will change. And if you have decent money, then Alvarez maybe becomes an option. But I still feel it's Foden, and then moving towards a Jackson. With Jackson, you are attempting to have a striker for the next 4 or 5 or 6 game weeks. That may not happen. I mean, you may still want to change him if, let's say, if he doesn't score for a couple of game weeks. Would we really keep Jackson? I'm not very sure, right? I mean, the only n number of chances that we'll give Jackson, considering that all of us are so heavy on him right now. I'm very sure that if he doesn't perform for a couple of weeks, most of us are going to lose our patience, and then maybe if we see a Visa doing really well, and doing even better, we maybe come across a different option who now becomes a viable option. Maybe Gabriel Jesus becomes an option, right? So we might chop and change our Arsenal options as well. So a lot could happen there as well. But I think right now it's probably Foden and that Jackson combination that could turn out really well. You have one free transfer, midfield and attack. Saka, Havertz, Rashford, Jota, Madison, Pedro Holland. Is there a question? Let me know. One free transfer. I mean, Jota is probably somebody that I probably would want to move on from. I understand that or maybe even Havertz. I think these two are slightly tricky options to keep. If I really had to change one pick, I'd probably change Havertz. I don't think so. He's clicking for Arsenal at the moment. It's very difficult to understand what role is Havertz playing wherever he's going, right? I mean, the Chelsea role was slightly more defined, but it was still probably not the role for him. And I don't think so. It's kind of working out for him. It's too early to say that, but I mean, whatever we've seen so far, I think it's still a bit. I mean, the jury's out there in terms of where is Havertz playing and what is happening with him. So if I have to take one player out of all these options, I think I'll probably take out Havertz and go with a different pick. Best 4.5 keeper to replace Pickford. I think if you don't have, let's say, a Henry, for example, I think Flecken in goal could be a decent pick. I know a lot of people were very, hell-bent on going with Pickford. I never really thought that he's a good option to begin with. But if you're looking at 4.5 million options, I think Flecken is a pick who's decent. Steele could have been an option, but again, the fixtures are now tricky, so I probably won't suggest him. I think Sanchez at 4.5 could also be a very interesting pick. I think he's going to start majority games. He's playing for Chelsea right now. Chelsea look like a side who are not going to keep clean sheets. Having Chilwell is a very different argument and a different reason. But I think doubling up on the Chelsea defense, if you have Chilwell, or even if you don't have Chilwell, I think with the fixtures that Chelsea have, they may start keeping clean sheets. So I think Sanchez could be an interesting option. Other than that, I personally don't think so. I'll probably look at other options. I think, I mean, you have Leno, but Fulham, I doubt Fulham are going to keep clean sheets or any clean sheets in the next 5, 10, 15 games, right? That's the way they are playing at the moment. So you can argue that, you probably would go for Areola, for example, but is he really nailed? We still do not know that. So there are doubts in other picks, and I think because of this reason, I mean, Johnston as well, he's also an option, but I still feel I probably would want a Crystal Palace attacker more than a Crystal Palace defender, though you can make a case for a Palace defender as well. But I still feel I'll probably look elsewhere. So it's probably going to be Sanchez or Flecken if you don't have Henry. I think these are two good options. Pedro out for Jackson, Visa, or Gabriel out for Diaz, Guardiola, or Martinelli, Richarlison, Saka out for Foden. So Pedro for Jackson is a good option. I think if you already have let's say somebody like a Mbuemo, I think you can definitely go with Jackson. Visa plus Mbuemo, it's a differential combination, but I think you can divide the risk a little bit here and then maybe go with Jackson, who has decent fixtures in the longer run. If it doesn't work out, you can always transfer him out for a different pick, and maybe then you can go Visa if you do not have Mbuemo. That's also a way to look at it. Gabriel out for Guardiola. I think if money is not a problem here, I'll definitely look at Diaz. Martin, Richarlison, Saka out for Foden. I mean, right now, I would probably want to see one more week of Martinelli and Saka, especially Martinelli, what happens. And also when Gabriel Jesus is returning, right? What happens to his positioning, whether he's becoming a better FPL asset, as we've seen in the past. We still do not know that. So we still have to see what happens there. But I mean, yeah, if I have to take out one option, I'll probably take out Richarlison and then get in Foden. I think I'll keep both Martinelli and Saka. I understand that next week is United and you probably would want to, shift one option. But I mean, both of them could do really well against United right now, right? Because United are struggling defensively. Shaw is also out. So yeah, a lot could happen there, but I think these would be the moves if I have to go. Great show as always. Thank you so much for that lovely comment. Would you start Gabriel or Enzo? I think I'll start Gabriel. Bearing in mind, Gabriel probably like to come on for a few minutes. I still feel that he's going to start this week. I mean, Arsenal are running out of defenders, right? So how much can really Arteta, or for how much time can he really, keep benching Gabriel? I think I think he's going to start this week. Though the reason for transferring out is very different because it's mostly like a long term thing. But I think, I mean, if you have Gabriel, just give him a shot and start him. I think that's fine. But tell me once for all, should I remove Gabriel for Diaz, Akanji, Estupinian? Very difficult fixtures. That makes sense. I mean, yeah. See, the more aggressive move is to basically just keep Gabriel. And I mean, if I'm assuming you'll have one free transfer, the expectation, or at least the assumption here, is that Gabriel is probably going to start this week. That's not nailed for sure. I mean, nobody can be 100% sure. I mean, a lot of people are very, very sure that Gabriel's going to start in Game Week 2. He didn't start. Egg to their faces. But I think it is very difficult to say that Gabriel is 100% going to start. There's a highly likely chance, and I'm kind of being very diplomatic here, but there's a highly likely chance that he's going to start this week. Though this aggressive move is to still go from Rashford to Foden. In isolation, Rashford is not an option. I know it's very confusing, but Rashford is not a bad option because he has a good fixture. So if you're looking at long term, Rashford may just end up being okay, right? But Gabriel might not be, right? Gabriel might end up getting benched in Game Week 4. So safer is Gabriel because you're kind of diffusing a situation that may arise in the future. The more aggressive is Rashford. If I had to choose one, I'll go Rashford to Foden, which I have done as well. But I had two free transfers, so I kind of took out or got rid of Gabriel as well, and then gotten Henry. If Gabriel's nailed, then should I go for Foden? Yeah, I mean, you can change your defender next week. Next week, it's basically Gabriel versus United. I'm not expecting Arsenal to keep a clean sheet. So maybe you can go for a Man City defender at that point. Maybe we get some more information in terms of which Man City defender is more nailed. I doubt 1 week of information. Yes, it helps. But can we really make concrete assumptions or have concrete views depending on, who's going to start for Man City this week? It may just help us in making our educated guesses, but I still feel, yeah, I mean, that option is definitely there. You can do Rashford to Foden this week, and then you can basically change Gabriel next week. Anyways, he has a tough fixture and slightly tricky set of fixtures coming up, and he may not be nailed as well, right? So that's that. Shout out again to our in-house Drake with the buzz cut. Thank you so much for that. Hey Soumya, hello to you. Welcome to the stream. Pickford, Guardiola, Estupinian, Chilwell, Poemo, Martinelli, Saka, Fernandes, Rashford, Haaland, Jackson. Is it? If there's a question, do let me know. Is it okay to have Gabriel starting? I mean, yeah, it's fine to have him start this week. I think it's okay. There's a chance that he starts, and we just keep it there. And if he gets benched, I mean, already I think Game Week 2 was a huge surprise for a lot of people, including me. At this point, I won't be surprised if he gets benched, to be honest. And I just want to get rid of that headache because you have an additional transfer, or at least I had an additional transfer, and I think I could take that call slightly easier. Bench Diaz, Gabriel, or Cash. I think if I'm benching one, I'll probably bench Cash out of all three. Bench Bruno, Pedro. I'll bench Pedro. Play Bruno. Saka or Chilwell for Vice. Chance of Chelsea playing extra attacker this game and Chilwell moves back to. I mean, they could, to be honest. But again, maybe that's probably not going to happen because Pochettino also prefers. I mean, he can play in a back four as well. Personally, I don't see that happening. I still see Chilwell playing in that wing back role because he let's face it that he's way better than when he plays in a wing back position when Chelsea are playing a back three as compared to playing in a back four as a left back. So I think for Pochettino to get the most out of Chilwell, I think he still has to play him in that position. Though the extra attacker point of view is fair, but I still don't see that happening. I still think that Chelsea are going to play with a back three, and Chilwell will be in that. So I think if I'm basically going with the vice captain, Chilwell is a good shout. Please find some leaks, sorry, on Gabriel and Arsenal lineup. I mean, yeah, let's look out for a leak or something if we can. If we have anything, please feel free to share that in the chat as well. That'll be really really helpful. Why Henry over a City defender? Henry right now because I think long term fixtures are good. There is good potential. He's looked quite attacking. I'm also in that camp who's looking at a little bit more clarity in terms of which City defender to go for, and if the Estupinian, let's say if Estupinian is suddenly becoming an option who's not doing that well, he's still in that price range where I can get a different Man City defender, right? So maybe with a couple of game weeks, I have that information. Maybe when the Champions League starts, I mean, you can argue that you will probably miss out on at least two good fixtures for Man City, but I think right now information could also be key, and a lot of points could be made later in the season as well, because right now ranks don't really matter, to be very very honest. So I think Estupinian to a Man City defender would be that route to get in a Man City defender. Or if we see Man City firing all cylinders in terms of attack, I could even go triple Man City attack. I know it sounds a bit out there, a bit risky, but I mean it's not outside the realm of possibility. So I think I'm just keeping my options open with that third Man City option. Who knows? I mean, we could even end up getting Edison. I don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, never say never, right? I don't have a free transfer, so is it better to keep Rashford or change him with? I won't take a hit for Foden. I think Rashford in isolation is a good fixture. I'll probably just see him this week, see what's happening with United, how they're playing, what's Rashford's positioning, how's he feeling, overall how is United performing, and then maybe make the move next week. I won't take a hit for it. Whom should I bench, Gabriel or Udogi? I mean, Udogi is a very good option and probably want to play him. Gabriel is, I don't think so. He's at the risk of not starting. I think he starts, but yeah, I mean, out of the two, I think I'll play Udogi definitely. I have Rashford. Should I go for Mboemo for a -4? Also, I won't take a hit for an Mboemo as well. Basically, I won't take a hit to get rid of Rashford, and no option is that outright that that enables or that kind of makes me take a hit this week, because let's face it, United does have a good matchup, right? And I think yeah, I mean, I won't take a hit for it. Also, I need a suggestion for goalkeeper for 4.5 or 5, and your thoughts on Guardiola. So 4.5 I mentioned. There are a couple of good options. You can go Flecken, you can go you can go Sanchez as well. If you think that Chelsea could have decent fixtures, and I mean they do have decent fixtures, but they could keep a few clean sheets in there. If you're looking at 5 million keepers, let's just quickly see some options out there. I mean, there's Rams. Onana is an option, but are United really going to keep clean sheets? I'm not very sure. In the 5 million range, it's actually quite tricky because there aren't really a lot of options. You have Ramsdale, but I mean, you would probably want to go with an Arsenal defender instead. And I don't think so there are any other picks out there, right? I mean, you could go for Vicario from Tottenham as well, but never really fancied Tottenham to keep clean sheets, because with a goalkeeper the upside is always very minimal, right? So you would try to target a goalkeeper who's probably going to give you at least clean sheet points, or else he just makes a lot of saves. That could be Onana as well, because I think he's already made some 10 or 11 saves in 2 games, right? That's just testimony to how United are playing at the moment. They are conceding a lot of shots, and I think, I mean, he looks like a keeper who does or who would end up making a lot of saves. He does pass the ball well. A lot of the times United were playing or have been playing from the back in the 2 fixtures that they have played, and I think that's going to continue, and that's good from a bonus points potential as well. So if Onana is getting clean sheets, I think and if it's a close game, I think there's a high possibility that with a few saves he could easily end up with 3 bonus points. So I think in that 5 million range, probably Onana is still my preferred option. Other than that, I don't think so I'll consider anyone else. Thoughts on Guardiola? A good option for now. I mean, all City. I still prefer Diaz right now. Akanji and Guardiola are quite close for me. I think a lot of people are saying Guardiola is probably going to get more minutes. Some people are saying Akanji is probably going to start more. I think there are more people who are transferring in Akanji this week in general. But what's going to happen, who knows? But I think that would be the order for me. I think it'll probably be Diaz, Akanji, and Guardiola. If you feel that Guardiola is probably going to get more minutes, then you go Guardiola instead. Walker is still last for most of us, but I mean, who knows? Again, Walker might just end up playing more minutes. So it's all an educated guess, but I think I have a feeling that it's going to be Guardiola, Akanji getting similar amount of minutes. I don't think so. It's going to be a huge difference. So if you want to go for him, absolutely go with him. Hey Mukhil, hello to you. Let me know if you have a question in there. You do have a question. What about Nico Jackson? Good option. Good long-term pick in the sense that he has good fixtures. He's shown some sort of inkling that he could be a good FPL asset. It looks like an option who's nailed. So I mean he's ticking all the boxes. So you would expect him or you would want him in your team. Now, whether I mean, let's say if you have a Pedro, for example, I think the decision is probably slightly easier. You can just get rid of the mess that Pedro could become. 1 week he's playing, 1 week he's getting benched and all that stuff. And if Pedro is your second striker, I think then probably makes more sense to, get in Jackson, get in a slightly more nailed option. With Watkins, it could be very interesting because Watkins is not necessarily a sell this week. I think the fixture is decent. Overall, I think Watkins is probably going to be okay. I mean, yes, there's this debate that he's or this remark that he's not going to be on pens. He may not be on pens for the whole season. Who knows what's going to happen in the whole season? But yeah, I think that's that. I think overall in isolation, he's a good option. What are my plans for game week 4? So I have 3-4 options for game week 4. So it's either Martinelli to Madison. That's one. So that basically takes out my Arsenal option. And if Madison's fit, I think Madison's going to be a really good pick. The other option is to go Watkins to Jackson. If we see enough from Jackson, I think Watkins to Jackson is also an option. The third direction is to basically either take out Estupinian and go for a Man City defender, or take out Mitoma and then go with a different option. So I think these are 3 routes that I'm looking at. Again, this is all information, or this is all strategy right now. I mean, based on what we get a little later in the game week, I think things could change. But this is what it is right now in terms of what I'm planning for game week 4. We signed for Joao Pedro. He's on form. I mean, yeah, he's a good option. Though he's had majority transfers this week, I still feel his ownership is not going to be that high. It's still going to be around 10-12%, maybe not more than that. Let's just quickly check. Visa is 15%. So, I mean, I think he has had a good amount of transfers in, and I think he's a good option. If you do not have Mbuemo, I think you need to have one Brentford attacker, I think, for this run of games. I think they are a good attacking side. Sell Bruno Rashford for March. I won't sell either of them for March. I think, again, the time for March is probably gone. If you have Mitoma, stick with him, see what happens with the Brighton attack, and then maybe move him on to a different pick. I won't bring in March right now. I guess he's scored a lot of points. Yes, you can say that he's also overperformed his numbers because I think the XGI numbers for Mitoma are higher than March. But when you compare the returns, I think March is definitely higher in terms of points. And that may not sustain as well, right? So I think irrespective of that, I think Bruno and Rashford are still a good set of options this week. And if I'm really selling them, either of them, I think I'll sell them for Foden and not March. Jackson for Pedro for a -4 may not be the best move out there for 1 week because Pedro may end up starting this week. But if you're looking for a long-term solution, I think a hit is probably justified over the next 2 or 3 weeks, right? And that is how much time you'll probably have to give it as well. I mean, you can't knee-jerk thinking that Jackson, yes, you get him in this week, he doesn't perform, maybe Pedro scores and you're already in a net loss, but then you have to give it a couple of weeks for it to see that whether that was the right move or not, because Jackson does, I mean, it's a logical move to move towards Jackson. May or may not work out in the positive way, but yeah, I mean, for a hit, you'll have to probably be a little bit more patient. That's all. Bench Pedro, one of Pedro, Henry, Madison, Salah. I mean, I'd probably bench Pedro, play Henry, Madison, Salah. All of them, I'll also take a chance with. I mean, if you're concerned about Madison's minutes, then maybe you play Pedro. But if I have Madison, I'll just give him a shot. Why not? My moves, I took out Rashford, got in Foden, then I took out Gabriel and got in Henry. Two free transfers, so there was no hit. Would you bench boost and Turner, Madison, Udoki, Saliba? I'll probably wait. I'll probably wait for a better set of fixtures. Madison's a doubt. Udoki is still okay. Saliba could keep a clean sheet. Turner, not sure. I'll probably wait. If Bernardo starts, then even Foden looks like a tricky one. I mean, he does, to be honest. But that's what's going to happen with Man City, right? I mean, if you're taking the risk to go with a Man City option, it's always going to be that pep roulette that you'll end up facing. There's Doku as well. I mean, who knows where the hell he's going to play and how much is he going to play, right? I mean, we've seen the likes of Calvin Phillips not getting a run in. I'm not sure whether that's going to happen with Doku or not, because Man City is going to compete at multiple fronts, and they would need a deeper squad. Considering the fact that they've lost a few players this transfer window, I think, I mean, everybody's going to get minutes. It's just the fact that whether Foden, like a Grealish, for example, or like a Mahrez in certain seasons, whether he's going to be as nailed and, as effective as those other options. If Gabriel is starting and Rashford has a good fixture, then should I just save my transfer? Becomes confusing every passing second. I mean, if you're very confused, just don't do anything. Just see how it plays out this week. And if you're that confused, right, whether you can't make up your mind, because see, if you still have to kind of follow your gut at some sort of level, because if you're just not feeling it, if everybody's doing it and you're doing it, you might end up hating yourself if that move doesn't work out, right? If Rashford scores, FPL is a game of fine margins, and I think one way or the other, you'll always be not satisfied with whatever you're doing, right? So if you're very confused, just don't do anything. You don't have to, because Rashford has a decent fixture. With 1 week of more information, you get an additional transfer. So let's say if you have 2 free transfers next week, you can get rid of Rashford, you can get rid of Gabriel or somebody else. Let's say if you have other fires to put out. And yeah, I mean, it's not a have to do move. It's okay doing that move if you are okay to accept the risk. That's about it. Bernardo Silva starts. Not sure though. Let me know if you're reading it somewhere. I don't see a link or any leaks as such. Yeah. Restarting Madison. If you have Madison, why not? I mean, go take a shot. Go with him. What's There's always a possibility that he maybe plays 15-20 minutes, but I mean, he can still come off the bench and do really well. So I think if you have him, you play him. We saw Jackson. Depends on how you're looking at this move. Both are good options. Whether you're looking at a short-term punt, whether you're looking at a medium-term option, whether you want to hold this option for a long-term, whether you have the likes of Mbuemo, for example. If you have, then it's definitely Jackson. If you don't, see, or at least make some sort of a plan in terms of what moves are you going to do with Visa in, with the amount of money in, and whether that money is or maybe Jackson in and then the money left, and what moves you can make with that additional money. If money is a problem, then I think Visa is probably a better pick. Overall, I think it's right now, with whatever information we've had, I think both are going to be number 9s for their respective teams. Both are going to be doing well. You can argue that Chelsea's probably going to have multiple people getting attacking returns. That may be the case, but right now, again, it's too early to say that. Going by that logic, Visa probably sounds a little bit better, but I mean, you could go either. There's not a huge difference between the two right now. Turner, Pickford, Shaw, Mings, Botman, Saliba, Baldock, Salah, Bruno, Saka, Rashford, Enzo, Haaland, Pedro, Woodrow, Shaw out for Chilwell, Estupinian, it'll be Chilwell for sure. Salah out for Buemo, March, Mitoma, Foden, 2 transfers available. I think I'll do Salah to Foden. I think it's a risky move, so if you don't want to take that risk, then you do Salah to Mbuemo. Otherwise, if you want to go aggressive, I think Salah to Foden is a good option. Given no other issues in the team and that you have 2 free transfers, would you prefer moving one of the double United attackers to Foden or Watkins to Jackson? I mean, if there's no issues, if you're absolutely satisfied with your team, and if you are okay not saving them and using them and going a bit aggressive, then you do, let's say you do Rashford to a different option. In your case, it's Foden, and Watkins to Jackson. I mean, you don't have to make these moves, but If you're okay playing a bit aggressive, then I think this combination is for you for sure. Bench order for Udoki, Gusto, and Archer. I think in the same order. Yeah, I think it'll be in the same order. Out of Embuemo, March, and Watkins, which two to start? I think I'll start. It's a tricky one. I'm not sure whether you have a Mitoma or not. If you do have a Mitoma, then it's Embuemo and Watkins, and then March on the bench. Keeping a Brighton, keeping a Brighton attacker on the bench just still feels a bit weird, a bit odd. It just doesn't feel right, right? It doesn't sit right. But yeah, I think it's a tricky one. Worst case scenario, I'll probably bench Watkins, considering that he's a forward. He's not going to give you a clean sheet point. He may not be on pens, but yeah, I mean, you could make a case for any of these three. Tricky, very tricky. Only FPL creator I trust the most. Thank you so much for that lovely comment. Cheers to you as well. Surya, you've mentioned your team. It's Onana, Chilwell, Henry, Porro, Enzo, Mitoma, Saka, Poemo, Rashford, Watkins, Haaland. Bench is missing, or I can't see. If there's a question, please let me know. Start Diaby and Ketia or Henry. If I have to start one, I think Nketiah is gonna get minutes, but I think Gabriel Jesus is definitely gonna get minutes as well. I think I'm not sure whether Jesus starts, but I think Nketiah is definitely not playing more than 60 minutes or 70 minutes if he's starting the game. If I have to start one, I'll probably start. I mean, again, playing slightly more aggressive, I'll start Diaby. If you want to go a little bit safer, I'll suggest you start Henry. Good clean sheet potential as well. He could be attacking. Even if he doesn't get a clean sheet, there's a good chance that he gets an attacking return. So, I mean, you're not really losing out on anything. But yeah, the way I play, I generally back the attackers over the defenders, and I think I'll start Diaby. Johnston, Gabriel, Bayer, Mubama, whom to transfer in on or stay in this team? Okay, that's the question. That's the bench and that's the question. Got it. Transfer and stay in the team. I think you have Chilwell, you have Henry, you have Porro, Mitoma, Saka, Buemo, Rashford. I mean, Rashford to a different pick is an option. Watkins to Jackson is an option. If there's nothing else, I think just save the free transfer. If you have two free transfers, maybe you can change Onana if you feel that, maybe United are not going to keep clean sheets, or Rashford to a different pick. Otherwise, just if you have one free transfer, save the transfer, have two next week. I think that could also be very pivotal because we'll have some more information. We may end up having more injury information. Anything would happen, and I think those two free transfers could help you really well. See, if you do not have any niggles or any issues to sort out, and if you have one free transfer, I think the ideal situation or scenario would be for you to save the free transfer, have two and more information, and then give yourself an opportunity to actually go crazy next week. I mean, that's also a strategy, and it's a decent strategy. Start Havertz or Pedro. I'll still start Pedro. I'm not very keen on Havertz or his potential as well. Not sure there. Hey bro, hello to you. Good to see you this season. Good to see you as well. I have Gabriel with 0.5 in the bank. What is his best replacements? I think I mentioned it in detail though. I think if you can you afford children? I don't think so. You can. Yeah, so I'm assuming you'll have Chilwell. If you don't, then probably try to get him, but I don't think so. It'll be possible anyways, and I don't necessarily think that it's worth taking a hit. So Gabriel to a Man City defender is probably the next best solution. In case among Man City as well, you have Diaz, who's again I don't think so he'll be affordable now. So maybe you can go with Akanji. Akanji is a good option. Guardiola as well. Not much to choose between the two. If I'm preferring one, I'll probably just about prefer Akanji at the moment. If you're not convinced with Man City options, if you feel that they're not going to be, you don't know who's going to be nailed, and you might end up picking the wrong one, and then you'll probably waste on the transfer. You can also avoid that. You can go for Henry instead. I think that could also be okay. A lot of people are talking about Saliba as well, but as I said earlier in the stream as well, I'm not very keen on an Arsenal defender as a Gabriel replacement or a Stones or a Shaw replacement, because of the fact that I think the bus to go or ride on an Arsenal defender is probably left the bus stop, and I think there are better options out there. I think Arsenal has tricky fixtures, and um, they're just better alternative, better options, better picks who can possibly give you more FPL points. Hey Nigel, hello to you. Welcome to the stream. I mean, you can play Gabriel as well and do Watkins to Jackson. Watkins to Jackson is a much more aggressive move, and you can absolutely go with it. See out Gabriel this week. I think he starts, and then probably take a call next week. Sure replacements for any city defender. Diaz would be number one. Then it's Akanji number two. Guardiola number three. But it's very close between Akanji or Guardiola. It's not a huge difference. And then probably it's gonna be Walker. Which one to bench? Cash, White, Guardiola. I'll bench Cash out of the three. Potential for White and Guardiola to start and keep clean sheets. That's about it. Would you consider keeping Martinelli because they have game against United and they're poor away from home for Man United game, and Gabriel Jesus potentially playing, so Martinelli plays better too. I mean, that's true that if Gabriel Jesus is starting games, I think it spells good from Martinelli and his potential. But again, we still do not know if it's going to happen or if it continues to happen this season as well. I personally would keep Martinelli this week. I think it's Fulham this week, right? Fulham are a very average, very bad defense, to be very honest. And I think even against United does look very dodgy at the back. And I think, I mean, if I have to, I don't mind keeping Saka and Martinelli even against United. I mean, they're probably a better combination than keeping Rashford and Bruno, to be very fair. So yeah, I mean, I'll just probably keep Martinelli. Edison, Akanji, Diaz, Walker, Guardiola, Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, Foden, Rodri, Alvarez, Haaland is the lineup. What to do? Is this a confirmed lineup? I'm not sure. Let me know if there's a source, because I'm not seeing anything. We'll just quickly browse Twitter as well. Yeah, I don't see if there's any leak so far. Yep, I don't see anything. What to do? I mean, City extra, talk Man City. Got it. We'll quickly check that. By the way, Arteta in his press conference said that Gabriel Jesus he's ready to go. So I mean, there was also a possibility that Gabriel Jesus starts this week and Nketiah drops to the bench. That's also a possibility, and that kind of also lets me keep Martinelli because I mean there could be potential there. See, Foden is starting, and if we have some information on that, I think it's fine. I mean, you can do the Foden move. Letting off a good player for a good player, maybe the difference is not going to be huge, but I mean, if it's see, the time to get Foden is right now, because at least this week, next week, also if he starts, I think they're really, really good fixtures, and I think you could gain a lot of points. With United, I'm still a little skeptical about their attack. Overall play, to be very honest. As a United fan, I've seen enough, I've read enough, and I'm not very confident in terms of their potential. Yes, we are slightly hopeful that it's Nottingham Forest and they are a bang average defense, and that possibly will help us come out of the rut and start scoring goals and start doing well. But I still have my doubts, and I think that's the reason I'm okay taking that risk with a Rashford or a Bruno right now, and then maybe putting my faith on a Foden or a Man City, because they, whatever the situation is right now, Man City still look like a much better side than United. So I think that's that. Johnson goal, Estupinian, Chilwell, Gabriel in defense, Mitoma, Rashi, Bruno, Saka, Odegaard in mid. That's Odegaard is apparently a good move now, a good option now. Haaland and Watkins up front. Turner, Baldock, Colville, Obama. 2 transfers to kill any alternatives. I mean, Johnston is somebody who can change. Crystal Palace keeper, if you don't want to keep him, maybe move him on to a different option. Gabriel is somebody you can probably change. I'm not sure how much money you have in the bank. Yeah, I mean, if you have 2 free transfers, and if you if you don't want to kill or burn one transfer, I think Gabriel is somebody you can probably change to a different option. Rashford, Bruno in isolation are good picks this week, but in case if you want to go a bit aggressive, you can take one out, go with a different pick there. Watkins is somebody that I'm comfortable holding, but I see a lot of people doing Watkins to Jackson. I don't necessarily agree with the move fully. I mean, Watkins in isolation is still okay, but if you have a logic behind it, and if you feel that you want to get on to Jackson, maybe get that advantage, because see, if he does well this week, I think he's probably going to be one of the most transferred in players next week, right? So if you want to go get ahead of the curve, maybe take a chance there. So there are a couple of directions to look at, and based on whichever you fancy, you can take a call. No transfers for me. Gabriel and Rashi both stays, or Gabriel to Diaz, or Akanji, or Foden to Rashi. I'll still prefer Foden to Rashford. But if you want to go very, very safe, if you want to see simple logic, Foden to Rashford is risky. If you are not comfortable taking the risk, sort out the Gabriel position, because I still feel Gabriel will probably give you a headache later on. So that's that. Any leaks regarding Arsenal? Just that Gabriel Jesus news or a quote that he is ready to go, which makes me think that he's going to start this week. Bench Madison or Pedro? I'll start Madison for sure. I'll take a chance with him. My transfer plan, I mentioned my transfers. I've taken out Gabriel, got in Henry. I had 2 free transfers, so that was 1 free transfer. The second free transfer was taking out Rashford and getting in Foden. Most nailed by me is Diaz, then Akanji, then Guardiola. I have a similar take on this. So Gabriel becomes nailed anyhow. I mean, he does, but I'm again not very sure whether he continues to be a nailed option. But I mean, even if we get some information or some inkling next week, you have 2 free transfers next week, and you can make the move next week. So that's about. How many points am I expecting? Depends on Haaland, right? Haaland is going to be captained by majority. Haaland is owned by more than 90% people. So if Haaland scores a hat trick, I think this could be a game week which is easily more than 70 points. I think it really depends on Haaland and basically the captain that you have. In this case, it's Haaland, or in my case, it's Haaland. And I think if he scores a couple of goals, I think this could be easily a week with. I still feel it's going to be a good week, because most of the fixtures or most of the players that I have in my team have good fixtures, have attacking fixtures, and I think there is all potential in every one of them. So I think I'm definitely expecting more than 70. What's up, Pedro? Sorry, missed it earlier. Lovely content, by the way. Thank you so much for the lovely comment. I am really so glad that you're liking the content. What's up, Pedro? So if it's about starting one option, I'll start Pedro. It's risky because I mean he can still get benched, but I'm just not convinced with Havertz and his potential. Now the issue is that whenever I say this, it's always the case where that particular player goes on and gets a massive haul, and then it's egg to my face. But I think overall, logically speaking, jokes apart, I think Havertz is still is a player in general I've not understood so far. He was not really clicking at Chelsea, and he's not really clicked at Arsenal so far. I think it's tough. It's tough for me to understand, at least, and I don't have a lot of confidence in Havertz. So that's that. Mitoma or Martinelli for Mpoemo. If I have to take out one, I'll still take out Mitoma. I probably won't take out anyone, but if I really have to, I'll take out Mitoma. Keep Martinelli as a good fixture. He still could be a decent pick, right? I mean, if Gabriel Jesus returns this week, I think it will also give us some idea of what's going to happen with the Arsenal attack, with, let's say, Gabriel Jesus, Saka, and Martinelli playing as the front three. I think that's probably the best front three for the Arsenal team. So I think if I have to take out one, I'll take Mitoma. Tough fixtures later on, and you can possibly cover Mitoma off with a Buemo or a different pick. 2 free transfers, Salah plus Pedro to Jackson plus Foden, looks pretty solid. Jackson prepares you for the longer term, considering or assuming that he does well and he's a medium to long term keep. Foden is a risky one. He does give you an advantage, or at least the advantage of 2 good fixtures. He's in a creative role. He's creating a lot. He's getting a lot of the ball. He will be getting assists. He can also score goals. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with Foden as a pick. It's just that that uncertainty in terms of whether he's going to start every week, that will always kill you, right? With most of the Man City players, apart from maybe Haaland right now, maybe Edison right now, I think that's definitely going to kill you for most weeks. So that's, if you're okay with that sort of pressure every week or headache every week, I think Foden is a very explosive option. You can get him in. If he doesn't work out, the advantage with the Foden spot is that if you have some money lying around, a little bit of money, I think you can chop and change a lot, right? I mean, you can go with in multiple directions in terms of multiple teams as well. So that's the advantage that you get with Foden as well. And I think that's a very solid argument to get in Foden. You have two free transfers, and you have the same team as mine. Just Bruno and Rashford in place of Foden Buemo. What should I do? Confused between Foden and Jackson. Who should I go for? I mean, if you're going for one, you have to understand what's the objective of this transfer. I mean, are you looking for somebody who's more long term? Foden may not be long term. He may be a short term fix, but then you have to maybe move him to a different pick. In terms of explosiveness, I still feel it's going to be close. I still feel Jackson's probably the more likely to score a goal, and Foden's probably gonna be more creative, get assists, get in bonus points as well. So from a bonus points potential, I think it kind of favors Foden more. He gets the additional point for a clean sheet as well, and Man City are generally a good defense. So I think if I have to favor one, I'll still favor Foden. I can see Jackson for this week, and if he does well, I can maybe change him and get him next week as well. Plus, if you have two free transfers and you move or you do the Foden move and you save the other free transfer, you'll have two free transfers next week, and one of them could be Jackson. Yes, I know it'll be a week later, but it's fine. I mean, right now again, it's more vital to get in more information than go for these early options. There will be multiple opportunities throughout the season to gain ranks, and I think there would be other players too. So I think it's 1 week late is absolutely fine. Diaby or Martinelli, I'll play Martinelli ahead of Diaby. Gabriel to Saliba, I still prefer Gabriel to a different pick, let's say a Man City option, a Chilwell if you have money. If you already have Chilwell, Estupinian, then and you maybe do not want to go for a Man City option, then Henry. But in case if you are still feeling for it, I mean, if you still think that Arsenal are going to keep clean sheets and Saliba at least, the only argument that I would probably make for Saliba is that he is one option who's very nailed. I mean, right? You're not gonna get, unless he gets injured or he's not fit enough, etc., etc. I don't think so. There's a chance that he misses a game for Arsenal. So, I mean, that's the only logic for a Saliba option. There are better picks with better fixtures, and I think I'll look elsewhere. Double up Chelsea defense is okay. I mean, it's fine. I'm assuming the double up would be Chilwell plus a Colville or a Gusto. If it's Gusto, it's actually helping you save money. Gusto is 4 million, I think. The only issue with the Gusto is that, and let's say if you have a Jackson, right, or the potential option is to basically get in Jackson, so you're kind of locking yourself from a third good Chelsea option. Sorry, if you get some attacker, let's say if you get a midfielder, maybe Sterling, God knows who's gonna step up, or if somebody's gonna step up at all. Maybe you have a double up in defense, who's probably more nailed. The only issue with Gusto, if Gusto is the second option, is basically his minutes. We again do not know how long Reece James is out for. I don't think so. It's very, very long term, though. I still feel Reece James would be eased into the Chelsea 11, and he's not going to be rushed like earlier times, because it's like he's playing on ice, right? Whenever he's going to play, he's going to get injured, and he's anyways not fit enough to play in majority games or 90 minutes at least in one game. So going by that logic, Gusto becomes the logical choice, but I mean, Disasi could probably take that spot, especially if Chelsea is playing in a back four. That's the worry. But yeah, and the thing where you might miss out on a Chelsea attacker, which again right now it's very difficult to see who's going to be that second Chelsea attacker. But other than that, for the short term, and if it's a 4 million Gusto, I think it's helping you save money and helping you get a defender who you can actually play as well. Pedro to Jackson or Richarlison, Gabriel to Guardiola. Watching from South Africa. Thank you so much for joining the stream. I hope you're liking it so far. So Pedro to Jackson, or Richarlison. I mean, they're different. I think Richarlison is a different position altogether, right? So Yeah, Richarlison is a midfielder. So Pedro to Jackson is good. I mean, if you have the additional transfer, Gabriel to Guardiola as well. I mean, they're good options to go for. It kind of helps you balance your team for the upcoming game weeks. Jackson is, if you're getting in Jackson, the idea to get in Jackson is to basically have him for long term and get on him earlier than others. And that's the only logic behind it. We've seen bits and pieces of Jackson doing well, and I think he could do well as well. Looks like a nailed option right now for Chelsea. We do not know what's going to happen in the transfer window in the rest of the days for the transfer window. Chelsea could sign a striker that may give competition to Jackson. He may lose his minutes, and we may and you may have to transfer him out. But again, those are all ifs and buts, and they may or may not happen. With the information we know right now, I think Jackson's a good pick. Gabriel to Guardiola is okay because I think Guardiola is also going to get minutes for Man City, and I think both are absolutely fine. Enzo to Foden or Pedro to Jackson for a -4. I won't do either for a -4, but you have to, if you have to take a chance and go for a -4, I think Foden is to me, he looks like a more explosive pick. Who to start, Udoge or Gabriel? I'll start Udoge. And what should I do with Gabriel and Shaw? I have both in my team and one free transfer available. I'll possibly take out Shaw first because Shaw is definitely going to miss for a considerable amount of time. Gabriel may or may not start. That's a headache. That's probably more of a headache next week. I still feel he's gonna start against United. Uh, so I'll probably just keep him in and see what happens, and then take Shaw out and go for a different pick. Again, depending on how much money you have, you can go for a particular option. Great, guys. So about 7 minutes to go. Please feel free to go back to the or go to the website, go to the app, and make your changes. If you have any questions, please let me know. Don't keep it till very late. If you are planning to make any moves, don't keep it till very late. You never know, with the FPL servers, they can always crash and you may not end up saving your teams. If you don't feel the need to make a transfer, you don't have to make a transfer. I mean, players like Rashford and Gabriel are absolutely fine this week. If you want to take a risk, you basically make a move, but very honestly, you don't have to make a move. Quick question: start Joao Pedro Augusto? I'll start Joao Pedro. Captain kisko rakhe bhai? Oh, captain is, at least to me, it's Haaland. If you feel that it's a different option, there is Saka. I've seen people also think about captaining Rashford or Fernandes. On paper, it's a logical move. It's not, again, it's not very odd or very weird to captain either of them. But I think Saka is a good pick. Foden could be an explosive option. Martinelli could be decent as well. Odegaard could be decent as well. So there are some options. Even Chilwell, right? Chilwell with the attacking threat in Luton, maybe not scoring a goal. He can keep a clean sheet, get an attack return. That's maybe a 12 to 15 pointer haul right there for you. So I think that's also a good pick. Would you start Gabriel or Guardiola? I'll start Guardiola. Yeah. Guys, we'll take up last questions, about 5 minutes to go. If you have any more questions, please feel free to add that in the chat. If you're new around here and if you've liked what you've seen so far, and if I was even able to help you a little bit, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the stream as well. Really helps us and helps us with the YouTube algorithm as well, and of course helps us grow and do better. But yeah, start Gabriel, Guardiola. I think I've answered that. Check the leaks, please. We'll quickly check that. City and Arsenal, especially, I don't think so. There is, yeah, there is anything. I can't see anything. I mean, there are tweets about Nicholas Jackson starting. So if any of you had a doubt in terms of Nicholas Jackson, I think that's that. Saliba or Poro? Saliba. If I had to choose one, I'll go Saliba here. Yeah, I don't see any leaks. So I doubt that we'll get anything. It's about 3 or 4 minutes left before the deadline, and I don't see anything. Not making any transfers. Tell me your opinions, please. It's fine. Don't make any transfers. It's absolutely fine. Get one more week of information and then see what happens this week. It's okay. Yeah. I mean, next week you can even take a hit, make a slightly more. I mean, Gabriel Jesus could open up. We don't know what's going to happen in that regard. So you might shift one of your Arsenal options, make a move to a Madison, for example, and then go towards Gabriel Jesus. I think that will again kind of make you go ahead of the crowd because a lot of people will have to chop and change, will have to do some surgeries to get in a Gabriel Jesus, right? So I think, yeah. Saliba and Rashid. I mean, both of them are really good options this week. They have good fixtures, good points potential, and you don't have to. Don't get worried about not going for a particular player because, as I said earlier, right, you're replacing a good player for a good player. So it's not that you're replacing a very bad option for a very good player. It's not a huge difference. Bench Eze, Estupinian, Colwell, or Gusto. If you have to bench one, I mean, I'll probably bench one of Colwell or Gusto. If you have both, then I'll probably bench one of them and play. I mean, I'm a manager who always plays the attacker first, so I think it's Eze, Estupinian. Estupinian, considering the fact that he's been really good, I think I'll play him. I'll play Eze, and I'll probably play Colwell. He's probably more nailed. Though I think Gusto is gonna get a start this week, but I mean, if you want to go a bit aggressive, you bench Eze and then you play Estupinian, Colwell, and Gusto. I mean, there is potential for Chelsea to keep a clean sheet and these guys to, especially Gusto, if he's starting to get an attacking turn as well. So if you're going aggressive, bench Eze. If you're slightly going safer and if you don't want to take a lot of risk, I think you go. I mean, yeah, you go with Eze, Estupinian, and Colwell. Good player for a good player in a good fix for a good fix. That's why I settled for not making any transfers. Plus the uncertainty around. I mean, there is uncertainty for sure. I mean, the kind of injuries or the kind of number of injuries that are coming out every week is absolutely horrendous. And it's sensible to get in information as I'm saying right now, right? The rank doesn't really matter. The points don't really matter. Right now, we need to assess patterns. We need to assess teams. We need to see basically what team is doing what and which teams you can target, etc. So I think that's more important. Why are you ignoring my text? I am gonna dislike you. I mean, you can dislike, but I am not ignoring any text. If you have any question, please feel free to add that in the chat, and I'll be happy to help. There's a minute to go. If you have any more questions, please feel free to add that in the chat. I hope I've covered everything. In terms of captaincy, in terms of transfers, again, I'll repeat the same thing. If you don't have to make a move, don't make a move. Guardiola or Gabriel, I'll play Gabriel. I won't play Gabriel, sorry, I'll play Guardiola, my bad. More likely to start and yeah, I mean, more likely to start, more likely to get a clean sheet. City are still a better defense than Arsenal. Why not? I mean, what's there to think that City are not going to keep a clean sheet? I think Guardiola will get minutes. So I think you go Guardiola ahead of Gabriel. You're the nicest while answering. I hope so. Enzo to Foden or Joe Pedro to Jackson for a -4. I think I answered this, but I'll go Foden. More explosive. There is uncertainty, but I mean Jackson also has uncertainty, right? It's not that Jackson is a set in stone pick and he's absolutely going to smash it. He may just not do anything. He may just get injured next week. I mean, that'll be a big troll though if he gets injured next week. But I mean, I'm not wishing anything, any injuries to anyone. But I think overall Foden is the better pick. Yeah, that's it, guys. Deadline. All the best. I hope you were able to lock in your teams. You did Foden only. Yeah, I mean, among the riskier moves, that was the sensible move to make. Yeah. Thank you so much again for all your questions. Thank you so much for your time. It really always feels a privilege to come back every week and talk to you guys. This is one of my nicest moments in the week, and I thoroughly enjoy being on the stream and talking to you guys. Yeah, let's hope it's a good week. Lots and lots of good football to come up. Really expecting some teams to open up. Really expecting some players and options to open up. And we'll be crazy if Gabriel doesn't start now, and it'll be crazy if Madison starts, if Gabriel Jesus starts. We probably get a Martinelli benching. I mean, so much can go wrong, and so much will go wrong. But that's FPL, and that's the fun of it. We sit here, make fun of the game. We sit here, have lots of good banter and good chats. And yeah, don't take anything to the heart, I think, and don't take the game too seriously because if it starts taking a toll on you, I think that's where you kind of have to draw a line. Didn't make any moves. Man has balls. Let's see. I mean, yeah, let's see. Let's see what happens. Expecting. I mean, if now it's a big if Foden starts, I think he should do well, and not to ruin your sleep and all. But yeah, let's just see. Hope United wins above FPL. And all. I mean, it does feel that United has. It's like right now. I mean, I'm not. I know I'm not somebody who will judge or who will it's just 2 game weeks and 2 matches so far, but I really do feel that we are kind of already behind in a lot of things. The window has not probably planned or gone as planned. Mason Mount is still a bit of an unknown. Rashford playing in that number 9 role, not very convincing. Could change as well. I still feel United's best midfield is still Casemiro playing alongside Bruno and Eriksen. Now, that was not the plan, and I think there was improvements required there. That's probably the reason Mount came in. But again, it's too early to say that or discount out Mount. Again, Mount is one player whose position has always been a bit trickier. But let's see what happens there. I think with the injuries, it's not been that great. Now with Shaw also injured, it does kind of take a good amount of attacking threat, especially on that left hand side. Plus he's a good defender as well. So there will be that. I mean, whichever defender you go for, right? Whether you go for Dallo, whether you go for somebody from the academy or some of the youngsters out there, it just feels like a downgrade, especially in terms of defense. And I think that's where it is. Do you do you follow any other football creators? Like, I mean, I don't, to be honest. I do feel like watching a lot of the football content out there. I very very honestly, I don't follow any particular content creators. There's a lot of stuff that comes on YouTube, right? On your home screen and on your feeds, etc. So if there's any interesting content, I generally like to consume that, and that's how I generally consume content. I'm not somebody who follows a lot of people out there, but I do keep checking a lot of good content out there. But yeah, happy to share that if you ever want to exchange notes on that. Great guys, Rashford hat trick incoming. Yeah, let's just end the stream there, and let's not jinx it or entertain any more thoughts in that regard. But anyways, all the best again to you. Have a great week. Do watch football, or do try to see as much as you can. Of course, we will try to help you out in terms of any notes, etc. that we get. Of course, content will also flow in for game week 4, and yeah, I mean, if you've not checked our blog as well, we've started putting out some stuff there as well this season, and I think that should be also helpful in terms of your regular game week content. So please feel free to check that out as well. That'll be all from my side. Calling it a night. Have a good weekend. Keep smiling. Have lots of fun, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye bye. Good night.